Hello from wherever you are today. Thank you for joining us for our webinar. We'll just give everybody about 15 or 20 seconds to settle in before we kick off. All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about how Enkel supports Canadian nonprofits. Really, our support in the not-for-profit sector is central to what we do at Enkel. And we spend a lot of time talking to organizations from coast to coast about how we can support their financial operations. So let's dive in here. All right, so the agenda for today, we'll try to cover today's session in about 25 minutes. We're going to explore how outsourced financial operations can really transform your organization's capacity and effectiveness. One, we'll start by talking about the financial challenges facing organizations today. Two, we'll talk about how outsourced financial operations actually work. You may have questions about how it's different from, having somebody in your office. We'll cover that today. We will talk about our core services being bookkeeping, payroll, and account services, what we often refer to as financial operations. Fourth, we will cover strategic financial management services, which are fractional controller and CFO services. We will share some real world impact stories of how we've helped some nonprofits out there that you might be able to relate to. And then we'll have an opportunity for some Q&A at the end. Let's dive in. A little bit about Enkel for those of you that don't know. I co-founded Enkel back in 2016, really with a simple problem in mind. And that problem is that you can't build a great organization without good books. Fast forward to today, we are working with over 100 not-for-profits across the country, and we really think of our business in two distinct functions. One being financial operations, which covers the bookkeeping, payroll, all of the processing that happens throughout the year, and then financial management services, which is really the oversight layer, the strategic layer of finance that really helps move your organization forward. I would like to acknowledge that Enkel's head office, where I'm located today, is situated on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I also want to add before we proceed that Enkel is proudly SOC 2 certified. So each year our systems are audited from a privacy and compliance standpoint to demonstrate that we are holding your data to the highest standard possible. Carrying on, a little bit more about Enkel and how we really do strive to be a true finance partner for our clients. So what does it look like at a high level? Well, our operating model, some key attributes would be deep expertise in not-for-profit accounting and reporting, where all of our team members working on your file are trained on the standards. We have a team-based model ensuring continuity and person independence, eliminating the opportunity for all details to be in one person's mind, creating sort of key person risk. We do offer industry-leading QA processes with periodic internal audits. The ultimate goal is to provide you with year-end ready financial statements every single month, and we have rigorous oversight processes to ensure that this is happening. We provide ongoing financial oversight, reporting, and strategic support, so really covering the full breadth of your finance and accounting needs for a nonprofit. And we do, of course, focus on continuous improvement across finance workflows, looking at how we can leverage new technologies to improve the outcomes for you. So what you get is reliable board-ready financial reporting every month, confidence in accuracy, controls, and year-end readiness, a finance manual tailored to your organization detailing processes, controls, and key finance information. Everything that we do is very carefully and thoughtfully documented. And finally, a finance partner that understands your operations and evolves with you. Let's keep going here. As I mentioned, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Enkel. I started Enkel back in 2016 after spending most of my career in public accounting, working with owner-managed businesses and not-for-profit organizations. I'd spent that time in public accounting in a combination of tax and assurance services. So let's talk about where we are today, what we're seeing in the market, and this may resonate with you. Organizations face complex financial operations challenges. They have resource constraints, limited budgets. We know that funding is harder to come by than it has been in the past. Compliance and audit pressure, we are in a rising regulatory environment where audit standards demand professional grade financial management and documentation. Leadership expectations are evolving. Boards and executives do need more timely, accurate financial reports to make better strategic and governance decisions. There is a focus towards strategic value add from administration. Leaders are being asked to spend more time focusing on growth strategy and core operations and less time on administrative tasks. And then cash flow management continues to be a challenge, particularly in this tough economic environment. Variable revenue streams and seasonal cycles create unpredictable cash flow and make planning challenging. Ultimately, let's focus on this bottom box here. Many organizations are operating in reactive mode, addressing financial issues as they arise, rather than planning strategically for growth and sustainability. So why are hundreds of organizations across the country looking for cloud-based financial operations services as an alternative to improve the outcomes in finance? Well, there are a few reasons. One is the expertise without the full-time cost. On the previous slide, we talked about the constraints and the need for high-grade, high-quality reporting. Well, under this model, you have access to CPAs, controllers, finance specialists at a fraction of the cost of hiring in-house. And without needing to train these resources, they come to you really with the capabilities needed to deliver on day one. Continuity, there's no risk of turnover or limited risk of turnover or knowledge loss when staff members leave. Institutional knowledge stays with the team. As I talked about in the previous slide, our commitment to maintaining processes and documentation. Technology integration. So today, the ecosystem of applications really does help to bring a lot of efficiency. That said, we continue to look at new opportunities, new integrations that can solve specific problems for you. And finally, scalability. So services scale up or down based on organizations' needs, based on their budget cycles and seasonal demands. So you get the right amount of resources when you need them. Now let's talk about our services. So accurate, timely bookkeeping creates a foundation for strategic decisions. I say this in almost every webinar that we do here at Enkel. You need to build a foundation through high quality, accrual-based bookkeeping that follows the accounting standards, which are accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. We're able to provide that for you on a monthly basis. We will also provide monthly bank and credit card reconciliations, as well as this says loan reconciliations, but really reconciling your entire balance sheet as an auditor would. Detailing expense tracking and categorization for reporting needs, automating financial reports. So eliminating the need to reinvent the wheel and take your numbers out of your accounting system and manipulate them in order to develop the right reporting for the board. Finally, seamless integration of your technology stack, removing duplication of efforts. The impact can be profound. Organizations can move from scrambling to prepare financial reports to having professional statements ready and on schedule. Nonprofit leaders can reclaim hours each month previously spent on manual data entry and reconciliation. And board and executives will receive consistent professional reporting that enables meaningful financial oversight. Let's continue. So how does it all work? Well, our bookkeeping process at a high level looks like this. You send us the inputs, and we have a very structured way under which you can provide us with the inputs. We fully train you on this as we onboard. We record all of your expenses in your online accounting software. We do a first run of the bank reconciliation, and we identify unknown transactions. We send those to you. We request that you review those unknown transactions and determine the coding. Once we get that information back from you, we complete the bank reconciliations and we prepare the monthly financial statement package. At that point, you can start to look at your numbers and evaluate what happened in the previous month and how you might go about making changes. Payroll, of course, you want to make sure that your people are paid accurately on time. Our services involve accurate payroll processing every pay period with the proper deductions and benefits calculated and deducted from the employee. Tax remittances, so timely submission of source deductions to the CRA, eliminating risk of penalties. We will take care of the year-end compliance, making sure that your staff get their T4s on times. We stay on top of all compliance related to payroll, and we monitor the evolving employment standards to make sure that you're always on side. And finally, time savings. We will eliminate the administrative burden of payroll processing from your internal team. The end result is that organizations eliminate payroll and compliance risks. Staff will receive consistent, accurate paychecks, and executive directors no longer need to worry about remittance deadlines. And very importantly, your organization can avoid the risk of CRA penalties and maintain, of course, positive employee relations. Let's carry on here. How does it work? Again, at a high level, you provide us with the inputs, we review all of the data, we run the payroll, and then we send you a request for approval. This is to confirm that the amount of money coming out of the bank account is approved. We get your approval, employees are paid, they receive their pay stubs through an app, and then we take care of all of the other compliance outside of that cycle, the ROEs, the T4s, WorkSafe filings. And let's talk about accounts payable workflows. We recently did a webinar with Pluto that was very well attended. Ultimately, what it comes down to is vendor payments need to be done, of course, on time, but they need to follow a structured approval workflow as it is mandated in your policies and procedures. So what we will provide is invoice tracking with a centralized system for receiving, coding, and monitoring vendor invoices. We will create those approval workflows and integrate them into the technology. This also ensures an appropriate segregation of duties. We will ensure that payments are scheduled strategically to optimize cash flow, and we will monitor due dates to make sure that your vendors are paid on time. The impact is that you will never intentionally miss or unintentionally miss a payment or incur unnecessary late fees. Vendors will receive timely professional payments. Finance committees will have clear visibility on upcoming cash needs, and executive directors can instead redeploy their time towards programs rather than chasing invoices. Let's carry on here. Now we're getting into the financial management side of our services. So the first is our fractional controller services. So what services do fractional controllers provide? First of all, actually, I do want to distinguish between a controller and a CFO, just at a broad level, because I get asked this a lot. Ultimately, a controller focuses on making sure that the books are closed on time, that they're accurate. They will provide you with some high-level analytics. They help you with year-end audits. CFOs really help you more on forward-looking planning. matters related to strategy, 3 to 5 year capital plans, also policy development, and making sure that the organization has taken the appropriate steps to consider the appropriate policies and procedures needed from a governance perspective. That said, what does a fractional controller provide? A fractional controller provides monthly financial reviews, audit readiness, financial controls, board support, so making sure that the board is getting their reporting package on time, that it meets the objectives of the board. You may want to consider a fractional controller at various points in your organization. My point is, it may vary the size of your organization as to when you may think about needing a fractional controller. It's usually when there is a triggering event, when you cross, a certain size and you feel that the basic bookkeeping will no longer suffice. It could also be that your board is demanding better quality monthly financial statements. If you do need to level up your bookkeeping function, then you may want to consider a fractional controller. And then fractional CFO services, as I mentioned, more on the strategic side. So strategic planning, cash flow planning, scenario analysis, revenue diversification strategy, board presentation. So acting as your in-house finance person, presenting the numbers to the board, and also assessing risk management and ensuring that strategies are in place to mitigate those risks. Now talking about reporting. So with our fractional controller and CFO services, we want to make sure that you are getting the most out of your numbers and that your numbers are helping you understand what is happening in the organization and how you can improve outcomes for stakeholders. These are a few reporting examples that you might get with our services. So the fundraising efficiency ratio here shows fundraising versus fundraising costs. This can also be done at a campaign level. Program efficiency ratio, administrative cost ratio, really helping you understand whether your expenses are in check and how they're trending based on the evolution of the organization. There's reports like this. So the cash flow reporting coming out of your accounting software tends to be quite limited. We can prepare visualizations that help you better understand where the money is coming from and where it is going. So how does Enkel deliver results? Let's talk about our tools, processes, and the end results. So this is your engagement structure. When you work with Enkel, you are in the care of an account manager. The account manager is a technical person who supports you on an ongoing basis. They dive deep into workflow and process. If you were to engage us for controllership and CFO services, you will have a member from that side on the team, as well as perhaps a bookkeeping and payroll team member. The point is you will have a small team supporting your financial operations and financial management needs. So today, the cloud ecosystem, as I was mentioning earlier, really can bring a lot of value and efficiency to an organization. These are some of the tools that we work with. So QuickBooks Online, Dext, and Pluto all are cloud-based and provide real-time financial visibility in a secure environment. Now, the other great feature of these apps is they connect with many other systems, donor management systems, to make the flow of data more seamless. The benefits are modern, efficient financial operations without requiring internal IT expertise or infrastructure investment, real-time access to financial data for leadership teams, boards, and stakeholders, automated workflows that reduce manual input time, bank-level security to protect sensitive financial information, and scalability, technology that grows with your organization's needs. So how does it all work? Well, we start with a discovery process. Before we engage with clients, we need to learn about you. We also want to give you an opportunity to learn more about us. We design a solution for you, At that point, if we agree to work together, we get you into our onboarding process where you'll spend your first 30 to 90 days working with a dedicated onboarding team. We will then transition you to your ongoing reporting team. This team will be responsible for making sure that the outcomes that we've committed to you are delivered to you every single month. There are many clients that I could tell you about. One in particular is Plan Lifetime Advocacy Network. We've been working with them for 8 years. We get together with Plan once in a while and talk about the solution and how we've evolved together since starting our work together a number of years ago. Plan came to us with a challenge. They needed comprehensive accounting support, but couldn't afford the expertise. The finance manager candidates were expecting six-figure salaries, and ultimately, the leadership team recognized that they needed multidisciplinary skills, bookkeeping, payroll, AP, controllership, and all of that was difficult to find in one person. Ultimately, they came to Enkel, where we built for them a small team, a technology stack, and we, with our specialized nonprofit accounting expertise, have been able to build a workflow that really adds value to Plan and its stakeholders. There's a quote down here from Rebecca Pauls, the executive director of Plan. There is a case study on our website with Plan as well that I would encourage you to take a look at. So if you're interested in learning more, please scan the QR code. You will also get a follow-up email with our contact information to book a call and learn more about our services. Let's dive into a quick Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. All right, and let me pull up the questions here. One of the questions here is, you listed Xero and QuickBooks. Do you also use other financial applications for some clients? For example, Business Central or Sage? The answer is yes, we do. However, if we're doing the financial operations side, so bookkeeping, payroll, AP, it is limited to Xero and QuickBooks. That said, we can support you as a fractional controller, CFO, if you are using the other platforms. What are the first signs that a nonprofit may need more structured financial support? I was alluding to this on the controller slide. So let me bring a little bit of additional clarity. So it's often the case that an organization undergoes significant change, a new grant, perhaps a decrease in funding, and suddenly the reporting infrastructure no longer supports what the stakeholders need. That's usually a triggering event. I would say any organization with more than $1 million in annual operating budget should probably have some level of fractional controllership or CFO services, just to make sure that the reporting is highly accurate. Because at that point, if you have an annual operating budget of $1 million, surprises can be quite damaging. I mean, they can be quite damaging at any size, but the impact can be very significant. So as a proactive measure, I would recommend having additional oversight at that level. Does Enkel only support ongoing monthly services, or can organizations also work with Enkel on specific projects, such as cleanup work, audit preparation, or improving financial processes? The answer to all of these is yes. We would be delighted to work with you in, whatever capacity makes the most sense for you. We are increasingly working with organizations, or starting to work with organizations, to just provide them with what's called a financial diagnostic, helping them understand where they are and where they might want to go to and how they might go about getting there. That's something that many organizations are finding to be quite appealing, because it really brings together different viewpoints from across the organization and creates one synthesized plan. What should nonprofits consider before deciding between hiring in-house and outsourcing finance operations. I think it really comes down to the expertise that your organization needs. And there's no perfect answer to this question, but most organizations that we work with, I would say as small as 500,000 in annual operating budget up to 10 million, they typically need a little bit of everything. It's like what I was talking about with the plan case study. You maybe don't need a bookkeeper 100% of the time, but you need somebody, able to process transactions on a weekly or a monthly basis. You also need that senior level of expertise to oversee the budget, to drive strategic decisions. That's where are probably best served to think about bringing in a firm like Enkel. All right. I have one question that just came in here. Grant supported program budget use different categories than accounting GLs, especially for admin fees. It's like an internal transaction between the program and the company. How do you properly reflect it in the GL? Um, I'm not quite sure I'm understanding this question, but the answer will be somewhere in leveraging class functionality and project functionality in QuickBooks Online. And it sounds like expenses would need to be attributed across multiple lines. So you would use one general ledger account, but split the expense across multiple classes. I think that's what this is getting at. There is a workflow that we have leveraging Dext and QuickBooks Online that, if I'm understanding this correctly, would allow you to achieve that. All right. I think we will end it there for today. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. And as mentioned, we will be providing you with more contact information so that we can set up a time to speak and hopefully support you in your financial operations. Thank you and have a great day.